Children don't inherit our memories. What we never healed shows up in our reactions, in which their world is formed. This is how trauma echoes, not through intention, but through repetition.
What if the strongest force shaping your child's future is not your parenting style, it's not your discipline methods, and not even the values you carefully articulate? What if the most profound inheritance you provide is the ghost of the parts of yourself you never had the chance to heal? We like to think of legacy as something we build intentionally, but the truth is, the most enduring legacy is often what we pass on through the silence of our unaddressed wounds. In this echo chamber of the soul, the pain we ignore speaks louder than the words we choose. We often live under the illusion that adulthood is a synonym for closure. We assume that growing older automatically means growing past the shadows of our childhood. When we become parents, we believe we are stepping onto neutral emotional ground, ready to teach, protect, and guide from a place of pure intention. But in reality, we bring our entire psychological history into the nursery. Unresolved trauma does not announce itself with a shout. It whispers through your tone of voice when you are stressed. It hides within your rigid expectations and your invisible emotional limits. Parenting, more than any other role in human existence, acts as a high-definition mirror, exposing every fracture in your healing that you thought was safely tucked away. We tend to believe that children are shaped by direct influence by the instructions we give, the corrections we make, and the logic we explain. But children are not shaped by what we say. They are shaped by emotional immersion. They don't just listen to us. They live inside how we feel. A parent's unresolved trauma becomes the very atmosphere of the home, the emotional weather, in which a child's nervous system develops. If that atmosphere is thick with unexamined anxiety or suppressed anger, that is the air your child breathes. They may never know the origin of the tension, but it becomes their blueprint for reality. They learn to interpret safety, love, and connection through the filter of your unhealed past, inheriting a burden they didn't create and don't yet have the words to name. Look closely at the most common struggles in parenting: the disproportionate overreaction to a small mistake, the sudden inability to tolerate a child's tears or emotional expression, the frantic need for obedience over understanding, the paralyzing fear of losing control. These moments are rarely about the child standing in front of us. They are echoes. They are the screams of the child you once were, reacting to a time when your own emotional needs were dismissed, punished, or ignored. What once served as a necessary shield to protect you in your past has now become the very wall that prevents you from being vulnerable with your own children. And children, sensing this invisible barrier, learn to adapt, often at the cost of their own authentic selves. From a philosophical perspective, this is not merely a psychological struggle. It is an existential one. Existential thinkers have long argued that an unexamined experience does not simply vanish, it determines us. Carl Jung famously described the power of the unconscious. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. In this sense, trauma is not just a static event that happened back then. It is a living, breathing force that continues to happen until it is integrated and understood. Our children often become the stage where our unfinished stories repeat themselves. We hand them a script written by generations they never met, expecting them to play a role that finally gives us the resolution we couldn't find ourselves. Children do not learn emotional health from the ideals we preach. They learn it from the patterns we live. They learn what anger means by how it is handled in the kitchen. They learn what closeness feels like by how available their caregivers are in moments of distress. They learn their own self-worth by how love is given or how it is weaponized and withdrawn. When trauma remains unresolved, it silently teaches children the mechanics of emotional survival rather than the art of emotional safety. Survival is effective in the short term. It keeps the peace. It avoids conflict, but it is not the same as well-being. Survival is living in a state of constant, quiet alertness, while well-being is the freedom to grow without looking over your shoulder. Many adults only begin to recognize these patterns much later in life, often not in childhood, not even in adolescence. but in moments of exhaustion when maintaining, control finally becomes too heavy. They may notice that their reactions feel disproportionate to the present moment, that a small disagreement feels like a threat, that disappointment feels unbearable, that rest feels unfamiliar, even unsafe. Slowly, they realize something unsettling. These reactions did not begin here. They were learned early in environments where emotional safety was uncertain, where love required adjustment, where being sensitive meant being vulnerable. Many of us learned, quietly and instinctively, to monitor moods, to anticipate tension. To become emotionally useful, we became calm too early, responsible too young, self-aware before it was safe to simply be a child, not because anyone explicitly demanded it, but because it was the most reliable way to maintain connection. This realization can feel painful, even disorienting, because it forces a difficult truth. What once kept us emotionally safe may now be limiting how deeply we can connect with ourselves and with our children. Yet within this awareness lies something profoundly important. For the first time, the pattern becomes visible, and what becomes visible can be questioned. Awareness does not erase the past, but it interrupts its automatic repetition. And in that interruption, choice finally appears. Breaking generational trauma does not mean eliminating pain from parenting. Pain is unavoidable in any human relationship. What changes is not the presence of pain, but our relationship to it. When parents begin to recognize their own unresolved wounds, they gain the ability to pause where they once reacted, to reflect where they once repeated, to choose where they once acted on impulse. This shift is subtle, but transformative. It moves parenting from unconscious reenactment to conscious responsibility. Children do not need parents who have healed everything. They need parents who are willing to take ownership of what has not yet healed. Because when a parent can say, "This reaction belongs to me," the child is released from carrying it. This is how emotional burdens stop traveling forward, not through perfection, but through accountability. In this space, children learn something rare and powerful, that emotions can exist without becoming dangerous. That conflict does not threaten connection, and that love does not require emotional self-erasure. This is the meaning of breaking the cycle, not the absence of wounds, but the end of their unconscious transmission. Trauma only repeats when it remains unseen. Awareness is the light that dissolves the echo. When we choose to face what lives within us, we give the next generation a gift more valuable than any inheritance. The freedom to begin their own journey without the weight of our unfinished burdens. Thank you for reflecting with us at Era Filsafet Kihudapan. Break the cycle. Choose to see